Welcome back to News 3 Today. This Sunday, September 8th, is 988 Day, a national initiative dedicated to raising awareness about the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline and emphasizing the importance of mental health and suicide prevention. This year's theme is No Judgment, Just Help. Today, we continue our conversation surrounding suicide prevention by talking about some of the proactive programs available in our community. Vera Salzburn is Program Manager for Prevent Suicide Today and Executive Director of the Chatham County Safety Net Planning Council. She is also the developer of the community-based upstream suicide prevention approach that uses evidence-based mindful self-compassion programming. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And Nikki Warner is the Regional Program Manager at Resilient Georgia. They join us now with more. A lot of hats between the two of you. Pretty heavy topic that we're talking about today, suicide and suicide attempts across our nation. We know the numbers are going up. This affects hundreds of thousands of people across the country, but help is available. I want each of you first, before we get into the conversation, to talk about your programs and your agencies and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us here, Tim. And before we talk about the programs, I do want to take a moment and acknowledge all the pain and suffering of those who lost their loved ones to suicide. We are here to support our community in many different ways. For some of you who may have experienced difficult thoughts, or maybe you are still dealing with suicidal thoughts or grief or loneliness, we offer programs in mindfulness and self-compassion to help you build those skills of self-kindness and support yourself in difficult moments. We also offer programs and training in suicide prevention and intervention, helping people to learn how to support others who may be struggling in this moment when it seems that life is falling apart. Also, we work with multiple community partners, including behavioral health providers, nonprofit organizations, youth-serving organizations, to identify ways how we can build resiliency and support our community with tools and events and programming that makes sense for them. So this is where our partnership with Resilient Georgia really comes in. We are a sort of a branch of Resilient Georgia, Resilient Coastal Georgia, and we work together to truly create communities that are more resilient and trauma-informed. So Nikki, I don't know if you want to say more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm with Resilient Georgia, and we're a statewide nonprofit that works with community coalitions around the state, doing very similar work to the work that Vera does with Resilient Coastal Georgia. And so we work to prevent childhood adversity and trauma. We work in suicide prevention, and we really support and bolster the ongoing work around the state to help children and families. And we provide resources, training, and we have a lot of free resources on our website.
And I guess the biggest issue is getting to people before they take that step of ending their lives or attempting to end their lives. How do you do that, Vera? I know that you go to classrooms and you speak to students, and you go to companies and you speak to people who are under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, who can't necessarily talk about these things to others.
Absolutely, exactly. This is our role in the community to open this conversation. There's so much stigma still around suicide. Talking about it, it's not easy. I talk about suicide prevention every day, and I still have that uncomfortable feeling in my stomach because the subject is uncomfortable, heavy. It can open a lot of wounds. It could be re-traumatizing for a lot of people. So our goal is to make it okay to talk about it and have these difficult conversations, and also empower people with skills to help others. So for instance, we work with our school district and with our teachers and social workers and students to help them become helpers in the schools. We also work with businesses. Recently we had an endeavor with the International Paper, and we trained their managers and their staff to be able to identify those in crisis and help their employees. We work with local universities. We are very excited about our upcoming training with students at Savannah State University. Again, helping students to be aware of the resources, but also to be helpers in this community. Suicide prevention is everybody's business. Nick and I can do only as much as we can. It truly takes everybody. I always say it takes a village to save a child from suicide, and each of us is that child, because each of us can find ourselves in crisis, but also all of us are that village.
Now we have to wrap, but I want to get a word in with you, Nikki, and just tell us about what it means really quickly to be resilient. I know that word keeps popping up.
Yeah, so resilience is the ability to bounce back when you have been through really traumatic events and tough times. So really bringing communities together to support each other and promoting that resilience building.
All right. Thank you, Nikki.
Absolutely,
Vera, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
thank
having
you.
us.
And here's some information for you. Oh, we have it on the screen. If you need help or someone you know needs help, call 988. There are resources available. And visit our website, wsab.com/crisis hotline. We'll be right back.